All right, I'm good.
Are you though?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Good.
I'm good too.
Same.
Guys, we got headphones.
We made it.
We've come so far.
Really, though.
Started from the bottom.
Still kind of at the bottom.
Yeah.
But
Just
with
not
headphones.
in the closet.
Do you want to explain this on the pod? Guys, we leveled up. We got headphones, so now we can actually hear ourselves talking and breathing and smacking of the lips. Thank you. And DJ cooked us up something real quick.
Just a couple jingles to tingle your
Wingle.
ear holes. So you'll see. You'll all see and hear. No, but welcome back. This is the 3 a.m. podcast. We're just a bunch of friends. We tell first and second hand scary stories, and we joke about them.
My name is Charlie.
My name's DJ.
My name is Sean.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, so as you're not scared of him anymore.
There's a good balance.
Yeah.
We're consistently trying to find that balance, but it feels like forever since we last recorded. Is that just me?
No, dude, it definitely feels like it's been a while. But it was last Wednesday.
It feels like we skipped a week for sure.
Also, I'm probably going to take this out because it's not funny or relevant. But Mallory's been gone the past week, and this is the longest I haven't seen her. We haven't seen each other.
Aww.
So it's like
I'm keeping this.
While
I'm
she was
keeping
gone-
this in the video.
a couple days into her, she went to California. A couple days after she left, I was like, do I know how to be single? I was like, I don't know what to do with my life anymore now that she's not here. It's like, this is what Sean feels like.
Bro,
Yeah,
if
don't
you
single
got
people
any-
suck ass, dude? Oh my gosh.
If you have any questions, let me know. I got you.
Sean's like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Sit in your room and brood. 3 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Wallow in self-pity. I have an update.
Ooh, let's hear.
Same person?
Yep. So,
This is our longest running story.
Ongoing thing.
I know. So, talk it to me.
If you've listened to any of our last episodes, she has had some experiences in her apartment. Her roommates have had experiences in the apartment. She has a new roommate living there now. She said that she was sitting in their living room on a couch, and her roommate, the new one, was about ready to leave. And she was standing next to the front door with the front door kind of cracked open a little bit because she's about ready to take off. And then right as she was about ready to go out the door closed. And she opened up the door real quick, and there was no one there.
So it looked like the sage didn't do everything.
It could be the wind. It could not be the wind. They also found out that one of their neighbors recently passed away. Oh my gosh. He was an older guy. One of the neighbors passed away. She didn't say when, but they just found out he did just pass away. Also, for those who asked, he was not wearing a top hat or a trench coat.
Okay, so you confirmed with her then?
Yes. That's all the updates I have for now. We'll ask follow-up questions later.
That's just weird juju.
True.
Weird energy going around. How much is rent?
I know, they need to lower it.
And
I know they need to get that higher so them ghosts can't afford to rent.
I don't think it works like
these are some lower class citizen ghosts for sure. We need to gentrify that area.
gentrify these nuts, boy.
That's cool. Thanks for keeping us updated.
Is she excited to run up to you and tell you and stuff?
Yeah, she came up to me and told me what happened with the roommate and about the neighbor as well. I didn't even ask her on this one.
Oh, nice.
So, more updates to come.
Dude, that's crazy.
We have been dying to see a few movies, but in particular with horror, 2 specific movies. One of them, The Lighthouse. We really want to see that. We're big fans of A24 films. And 2, Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. And believe it or not, Sean, our IRL IMDb, who has seen every movie, has not seen one. And it's The Shining. And we watched it for the first time last night. Well, Sean did. We watched it with him.
Now I've seen it. Now I've seen everything.
What do you think? Tell us.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah, what about it?
But I'll also tell you why I had never watched it, because I knew how it ended, just because it'd been out so long. So it never occurred to me to watch it. I thought it was really good. Jack Nicholson is the GOAT in that movie. He was so freaking good. Hella creepy.
What was the creepiest part in that movie for you?
To be honest, it was the way he talked and his facial expressions. That was the creepiest to me, because even if he was smiling, it looked like he was angry. And I would be like, dude, he's about ready to snap right now. And then he wouldn't. And then I was also confused, why every small thing seemed like it was intense because of the music and the soundtrack and that. He always made everything seem way more intense than it was. And it just built up and built up.
Dude, yeah, he did such a good job. Have you ever seen the footage of him trying to get himself pumped up for that role?
No.
Dude, it's crazy. There's behind the scenes footage of the scene where he's axing down the door. And so they're getting ready and he's just in the corner and he's I'm freaking out and twitching and yelling and just screaming into a corner. He's like, ah! And yeah, then they're like, all right, rolling, camera, action. And he's right into it.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I love that. He has the most poignant facial expressions in that movie. He speaks with his face more than he does his words, which is always really cool to see. You get more across that way. I feel like you feel it.
When acting doesn't reach your eyes, it does nothing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
because you're hearing things all the time and it just drowns out at some point. It becomes white noise.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to a movie to watch. So when you see acting visually, it just sticks more. I feel like.
Right. My biggest example of not acting with your eyes is Harry Potter 1 through 3. When they're little and they have no idea how to act, Harry is just Ron, run, and his eyes just look dead.
Just deadpan.
He's like, this is the scariest thing ever. I'm like, bro,
you got to sell it a little more.
Then act like it.
Also, low-key, not low-key, I want his job in that movie.
Oh,
I want to be a caretaker of some mountain cabin in the middle of nowhere. And just
away from everyone.
Give me internet and I'll be good for 5 months.
Yeah, this the movie is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable and secluded and cut off. And the further we got into the movie, the more Sean was sold. He's like, I want to do this, and I'm looking at him like, what the hell? Concerning. Red flag.
Oh, well, I'm glad you liked it, dude.
It's good.
So now we could watch Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep, we're coming for you. Next.
I honestly suggest reading or listening to the book.
Yeah, Charles has been listening to the ebook of The Shining.
And I'm right at the point of the book where they have an altercation on the stairs. That's literally happening right now before I picked up DJ.
Light up my
It's intense.
life.
That's so sick. All work, no play.
I don't know if that was in the book.
Was that in the book?
No, I don't think so.
Question: Why does he say here's Johnny?
I think Johnny is referring to Johnny Carson. I think Johnny Carson might have said it on his late night show. So it's just kind of a weird. I don't know.
Because his name's Jack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, his name's Jack in the movie.
Actually, I think his name might be Jonathan Torrance, and his nickname is Jack. Because he refers to himself as John several times in the book.
Interesting.
In the book, his name is Jack as well.
His that's what they call him, but he also refers to himself as John a couple times. I need to look that up.
Yeah.
But I was I remember asking myself, is Jack a nickname for John.
Yeah. I mean, if we have Richard and Dick,
Because that makes sense.
then anything can go, I guess.
Valid.
Yeah, love The Shining. If you also love The Shining and Stephen King, there's a documentary that we watched a few years ago called Room 237, and it just does a little bit of a deep dive into Stanley Kubrick, and it talks about Stephen King too a little bit.
Very little, yeah, but
Yeah, but just like there's so many when you watch The Shining, you come away like for the first time, if you don't know anything about it, you come away with so many questions. And not that documentary answers all of it.
if anything, the documentary just makes
it
more
worse.
questions.
See, I'd also seen Room 237 before The Shining, and so it was like
Your experience with The Shining is like the worst way to
watch it.
Yeah. You watched 237 first, and then just had us ruin it for like 4 years.
But
Yeah, you went back asswards on that.
I could see his face in the clouds when they were driving.
No, you could not. I promise you. There's not one person I will meet in my entire life who will agree with that sentiment. Anyway. Well, I think it's time for our next segment. Pew, pew, pew. Question time.
Question.
You said you had some questions. I have a question. We can fire off a couple, see what works, what doesn't.
All right, what's your scariest sleeping experience?
Do you ever when you're dozing off and you twitch?
Yeah.
I had the worst one I've had in my entire life last week. I was editing an episode. It's late at night. I'm editing an episode on the couch.
Just cutting out my 60th
And I'm sitting up with a huge pillow behind me, so I'm really comfortable. And while I'm editing, I just doze off. And I don't know. It was probably 10 seconds later.
DJ's blessed with the gene of being able to fall asleep in 10 seconds.
Or faster.
Yeah.
So with that, I fall asleep sitting up with my laptop on my lap. And I twitch and wake up. And I literally, both hands, punch the screen of my computer. And my laptop goes flying off my lap. And it's a big sectional couch, so it doesn't fall on the floor or anything, but it was so bad I double punched.
Falcon
and it was
punch.
I sat there, I was like, did I really?
Well, good thing your computer's super new, so
oh, that thing is a Hummer. It's been through it. It's been through the trenches.
it also came out when Hummers were new.
We're relevant.
This isn't necessarily a scary thing, but it just came to my mind, and I kind of told you the other day, but when I was still single and I was living with Sean and Jordan, I was falling asleep on the couch. We're all watching a movie. And it's hella late. It's probably 3 or 4 in the morning. So I'm laying there, and Jordan comes out wrapped in a blanket. I'm laying on the couch, almost asleep. And he comes in, and he's shuffling around and not being quiet. And he comes in, and he lays down on the ground by me, and he's just just moaning. And I'm laying there. I'm like, dude. And he just keeps, and just
writhing in pain.
So finally I was like, bro, shut up.
Well, the thing is, Jordan gets sick all the time.
If Jordan smells ice cream, he has diarrhea that night. That's how lactose intolerant this boy is.
This kid is constantly sick. He's had whooping cough for 27 years now.
Yeah, so he has the plague, and I was like, enough is enough. This is my time. So I was like, dude, you all right? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, can you keep it down? And then, I don't know. I think he left the room and I went to sleep. Next day, he ended up going to the doctor. Turns out he was passing kidney stones. So here he was literally dying, and I'm just yelling at him to be quiet. I'm like, dude, shut up. So I felt like an ass.
That's too funny. That's too funny. Real quick for any new listeners,
First of all, hi.
welcome. We already introduced ourselves, but we didn't introduce Jordan.
Oh,
Our fourth, I guess, member of the podcast. He's not with us anymore.
actually,
He's still alive.
he's dead. Oh, he might as well be. I grew up with Jordan. Jordan's one of our best friends. Jordan lived with these two guys in the Philippines for a couple of years, and then we were all friends when we moved to Utah.
Mm-hmm. And he started the podcast with us.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be 4 of us, but he's now in graduate school in China
Getting his MBA, boy.
for like at least 2 years. And now it's just us 3. But Jordan, we miss you. We love you. Just stop making noise at night.
Just pass your stones quietly, dog.
You have anything?
What was the question again? Strangest sleep experience?
Yeah, or any like scary or strange sleeping experience. Okay.
I actually just remembered one that also happened in that apartment when we were all living together with Jordan, and Tom, my brother, was living there too. Jordan would always sleep in the living room on the couch.
I think he slept in his bed 0 times.
And he also listens to Harry Potter to put himself to sleep.
Very
Every night.
quietly, right?
Well, yeah, it was almost as quiet as a lawnmower,
Yeah, it's like level 32.
which I had no problem with until stupid freaking Malfoy would come on. Harry Potter, and I'm just super loud, and I would wake up and he'd be asleep, and I'd walk into the other room and just turn it off more than a couple times. And it was Malfoy every time.
He just got you.
Just so annoying.
It kind of reminds me, I had this one freaking weirdo roommate who had this alarm clock every morning. Do you know what it was?
Was it Shia?
Yeah, this strange roommate of ours. So everyone has seen the viral video that was big, 5 years ago? With
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf in front of the green screen, just like roiding out, screaming, just do it! Chase your dreams! or
Make
whatever.
your dreams come true. Yeah, it's weird that I memorized it, but
Yeah,
just do it.
Yeah,
All
one
I can
of our
say
roommates
is-
had that for their
that roommate was probably super motivated all the time to not let their dreams be dreams.
It was Sean. Sean had that alarm. And it would go off every morning like 6:45 or something.
Nah, dude. Back then I was still on night shift, so that was like 11 a.m.
Oh, it felt like 6:40.
That's because we were going to bed at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So what dreams have you accomplished in the past couple of years?
Let's see.
Yeah, you're single ass.
Not that dream.
Just kidding.
My dream is to be the last in my family married, so still working on that.
Hey. You're close.
Also, my dream is to die having accomplished nothing. So I don't know why I'm on this.
Is he insulting us? Or is that a compliment?
Backhanded, at least.
Nice. Another sleeping things. I once had a dream where I was with my entire 8th grade class. This was while I was in 8th grade. And one by one, I watched them all get murdered in this haunted house. And at the very end, the killer grabbed me and looked at me and he said, "I will be back for you." And I woke up. And then 3 years later, I was supposed to be in a class, but I was ditching and sleeping. And I had a dream, and these curtains opened, and the same guy was standing there. And he said, "I told you I'd come back. I told you." And I was terrified.
That's crappy.
There's one thing. There's one sleeping thing for me.
there used to, growing up when I first started getting like a ton of sleep paralysis, I was like probably in my tweens. So the most dramatic part of my life. I used to, like, I couldn't breathe, which is part of like almost everybody's sleep paralysis. And then I would see somebody like standing at the foot of my bed.
Creepy.
Did they have a top hat?
No top hat. It was like a shadow of a person. So I couldn't like make out a face or anything, but I could tell that there was somebody standing there, and it was always the most terrifying thing. But I haven't had it in a long time. Probably since then.
It's coming for your ass.
Well, like I've had sleep paralysis, but I can like pull myself out of it before comes, before I see it, you know? So
you hear that sleep paralysis demon?
He thinks he's getting away.
Try me, boy. Yeah. Try me. Ugh. We good?
What was your question?
I don't know.
DJ's question.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Since Thanksgiving is coming up, and by the time you guys hear this episode,
it will probably be past Thanksgiving.
But since Thanksgiving is coming up, hypothetically, there is a pot of $1 billion up for grabs. Only one of us can win it. And whoever can start the most vicious argument at Thanksgiving dinner gets the $1 billion. How do you start the argument?
Is it with my family?
Yeah, with your family.
Oh, boy.
What do you do to trigger everybody to try to win this $1 billion?
I'd probably start with me dating my sister-in-law before she became part of the family.
Okay, you're gonna have to. If you want to keep this in, you got to explain a little bit more.
You can't just leave it at that. He's like, so it all started in the Civil War home
in Washington.
No, before my older brother got married to this girl, I dated her first. Ooh. And
what do you mean dated?
Then,
smashed?
No.
Oh.
Did you at least kiss?
I'm not telling, dude.
Oh, they
Gentlemen.
did, dude.
When I
Eskimo brothers and real brothers.
When I moved to my to the Philippines, my younger brother dated her as well.
Oh, three-way Eskimo.
But I was first, so I'm good.
This sounds like
I don't feel no slop.
This sounds
sloppy.
like a WWE match.
Yeah. What has happened?
What is?
So you would bring that up?
Yes.
Is that it?
Well, I think that would be a good place to start, at least. Problem is, not a whole lot of my family likes to argue.
Yeah, Sean's family is so nice.
Yeah, I don't see
Pure
them fighting.
salt of the earth.
It would be actually, that conversation would probably be like, yeah, it's like, I guess.
Well,
I don't know,
what's done is done.
Yeah, it's in the past.
And that's in the past now.
Let's just face it, I would lose this. I'm not winning $1 billion.
I straight up would win.
You probably would. I would.
Easy.
I'm saving it for you. I would.
But if I eat, everybody eats, so we good.
Hey.
That's a good thing about our group.
Yeah.
Whatchamacall? I would have my family. I would tell my family I'm gonna split it with 2 of you, and you guys need to deck it out. Like why you deserve.
Just baby coming with the right.
My brother Bubba coming with the hook.
Yeah. DJ's little big brother Bubba got some vicious scratch moves. Let's see if I can dig it up and throw it on the YouTube.
Yeah, there was one. It wasn't even an argument. We were just like harassing each other.
You were being a big brother, dog.
I was being
you
a
were
big
being
brother.
mean.
Yeah, and he grabs his finger like Captain Hook, like
a velociraptor,
like Scyther, and he digs it into my arm with his nail and like breaks skin, and I start bleeding a little bit. I'm like, this is your attack? He's like bigger than me. Rather than like punch back, he uses his little hook grappling finger.
It was effective though.
It was effective. Critical hit.
Yeah. Well,
let's hear it.
I come from a divorced family. So I might start there.
Why am I laughing at that? That sucks.
Yeah.
Charles is all like, yeah, 2 Christmases.
Yeah. So, there's endless material there. Dude, there's things I cannot go into on the pod. Let's just say I have an arsenal. Like, you would have no idea. Oh,
I love it. And it's funny because I feel like I know your family pretty good enough
yeah.
to know that whatever would transpire in that argument, everyone would be chill with each other the next day. No?
Yeah, it's like our nightly sport is to like
roast each other.
Oh, but like claws out. There's a game called Psych. And I feel like we should talk about this. It's an Ellen DeGeneres app. And there is
it?
Yeah, dude.
I knew she was on it. I was wondering if they like paid her.
I think it's her app.
Huh. Or like she owns like stock or something, maybe.
You know what?
Either or.
Don't quote,
it's Ellen's
don't
app.
Quote me.
No, it's Ellen's app, dog.
And there's a bunch of different gameplays and different scenarios you can do. Scratch all of that. There's one specific one where it gives you a platform to roast everyone playing.
Well, I don't even know if that was their intention. It probably wasn't.
Not necessarily
like,
roast.
Basically what it is like, I think it's called The Truth Comes Out. So everyone gets on their phone. Everyone logs in, links up together in the same like game room. And one by one, it asks a question about someone in that group. So it's like...
You're all sitting with those people.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be like, if DJ were in a movie, what would that movie be titled?
And high-functioning adults would pick something...
Yeah.
Normal and correct.
The very handsome man goes on an adventure.
Yeah.
Not us.
Not us. Yeah. And this is what actually made our friend group like probably what it is today. Just tight, dude.
What we decided, and really where it blossomed, was my bachelor party. What we decided to do was say the meanest thing you could possibly think of. And the rule was literally, if you started going like, I can't say this, you have to say this.
No boundaries.
Yeah. You
Zero
had to
boundaries.
go as hard as you, like, think of the thing that would crush that person and you have to say it. And it was just
like, we had our regular bachelor party activities all throughout the day and night. And in between, like, going to dinner and all these different things.
and the club.
Yeah. We were playing this game.
And it was truly the highlight. We stayed up till like 4 a.m. playing.
It was so fun. It was so funny bagging on everybody.
Yeah, and we just said the meanest, most horrible things to each other, and it only brought us closer.
It really did.
Yeah.
It really did. Because we were already close friends by that point. I mean, it was a bachelor party.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew each other. But that just like up a notch.
There's something about being able, like, if I know there's nothing I could say to you that would truly make you mad at me, then I feel like there's no boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know you, you know me, and you know my intentions. I never really would say
Mm-hmm.
these horrible things, but I'm about to do it.
Yeah. But I will.
Yeah.
But
for a while, I will say I was the champ. And
Until
so
you got soft, bro.
I think just everyone elevated their game. But
We invited Kale.
it's
what do you mean you were the champ at roasting people?
I feel like I won every round pretty consistently for a while. Dude, I was up there every time.
You were up there, but there were other top contenders.
I guess.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I'm really good at being an ass. And so by that whole long story was just to say that, like, I bet I could stir things up because I know how to just throw in a grenade.
On the flip side, it made it easier for us to, like, if like there was something deep and dark that we were like seeding inside us.
Yeah.
Like after that, we were like, it was easier to talk
Bro,
about.
there was some random ones that came out from like years ago too.
Well, what are some
Someone
examples?
would drop it, and I'd be like, "Damn, what the hell?"
Yeah. Like, I can't even remember. Some of the ones that stuck out to me was like Jake and DJ, like own an island, or like are the governor of their city. What's the name of the island or city that they, the new name that they give it? And one of the best answers, I think, is the one. So everyone submits their answers, and then everybody gets to vote.
Which is the best?
Which one's the best? Yeah. So that's how you get points. And the answer that won was Jake owns one slave.
And Jake's like, he's from Amsterdam.
Yeah. Oh, there was Jake owns one slave, and then there was like
Shaka
Mahalo, let's get some tacos, because he's from San Diego. I don't know. That one was a pretty soft one in comparison to like.
Dude, we just to show you how hard we would go, it's like we would bag on DJ for failing in LA. We would bag on me because at the time I didn't have a job and I was like putting everything on the line to learn code and could not get a job.
There was a girl that wrecked Sean like years ago.
Yeah, years ago.
And like at that time, everybody like forgot about her and her name.
Straight up.
Not in psych.
Yeah, not in psych. We brought that back up, and it was
yeah.
So I'm sorry. I don't know if anybody else thinks this is funny.
Well, maybe,
or if I don't know.
If you don't have a group of friends or a group of people where you can like say anything to, then work on finding that. And if you don't have that, hit us up and make fun of us in our DMs.
No. Honestly, if you guys want to roast us,
I don't know.
Fire away. I'm open to it. Yeah. So,
I mean, we already got one roast in our reviews.
Yeah. We're saving it. We're not hiding it at all. You will see. I mean, you can go and see for yourself, but
do you know what we should do?
We're thinking of a special segment in the future, but yeah, feel free to roast us in the comments.
We should make a meal next time we record and eat some smackaroni.
So dumb. Who was there when I told the story about me roasting my girlfriend's mom in front of her face?
Oh yeah.
Were you guys there? Oh, both of you were there? Oh, okay.
So I think we are just in a culture of like you roast the hell out of each other for everything, and sometimes we forget that doesn't always translate
to other groups or other people.
And if you don't know, like straight up, Polly's roast, either with fist or with words.
Yeah, yeah. In Hawaii, it's in our culture to bag on everybody's race and how they look, and it literally just makes everybody ohana, as Stitch would say.
And I might be ignorant, but I am under the assumption that not all white people are so used to like the roast.
Yeah.
And it might just be Utah people.
Should I tell it?
I don't know, dog.
Does it matter?
Go for it.
Oh.
Cut it if you want.
No. So I was at dinner with my girlfriend and her brother, who's married. His wife came as well. So the four of us. And then my girlfriend's mom. And it was cool. It was chill. We got dinner. It was one of those places where you order and then you sit down and they call out your number. Pretty basic. And then you go get your food. So we got our food. We're eating. Mom has her dinner in like a tinfoil plate.
Like a tinfoil dish?
Yeah. And she's so nice. So sweet. And she says, wait, do they need this tinfoil dish back? And both of her kids are laughing at her and joking. Just like, why would they need that back? And like kind of like bagging on her for it.
For being nice.
Yeah.
For trying to be considerate.
And they're just going back and forth about it. And I was like, oh, this is my time.
She's like, is that blood in the water I smell?
So we all have plastic water cups. And then I say, yeah, I think they probably need our water cups back too.
Crickets?
And everybody goes from laughing and smiling to like what? And I'm just sitting there, I was like, and next week I'm going to their Thanksgiving dinner, so we'll see how that goes.
Good luck.
I think I'm just gonna go in with like a ball gag and not talk to anybody.
Woo-wee.
Woo! No, we all laughed after that.
Question time's over.
Sorry. We ready? Next segment. Roll.
9.
17.
All right.
5.
So it's Sean, Charles, and then me, DJ.
I'm pretty sure 5.
Is less than 9.
Oh, I thought I had 2.
Oh.
Freak. I don't know why it switched in my head.
All good.
Sean, me, Charles. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's when we roll our 20-sided die. Highest numbers go first. So Sean.
All right. I'm going to start us off with a little heater right now. So this is a user submitted. His name is Mike. He and his brother Luke and a friend of theirs, Evan, all decide to go camping one weekend. And this is Idaho area. So they go out camping in the woods. And these are like tall, like evergreen trees. And
What's their names? Mike,
Evan,
Evan.
and Luke.
Yeah.
Oh, Luke.
Yeah.
Okay.
So his name's Mike. They go out here camping, and it kind of starts getting dark earlier. So they turn in pretty early as opposed to what they would normally do. So he's sharing a tent with his brother Luke, and they're watching some TV on their laptop there in the tent. And
Do you think that's gross?
no, dude.
Like watching movies while hiking? Or like camping?
No, dude. Like, what else are you gonna do in the tent besides sleep?
Because you're supposed to be like, disconnect and be natural. Straight up, though, I love taking movies camping.
Oh yeah.
So I'm glad I'm not the only one. That's what I'm saying.
When we went camping every summer with a bunch of different families in the area, family friends,
Wait, are you talking about in Hawaii?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
We would bring the generator and the TV
Nice.
and a couple Xboxes, system link that 8-on-8 Halo 2. Man, that was the best.
So DJ, that story, when I went camping,
Okay, when you're in Hawaii, how far can you really get?
like 42 steps.
The backyard.
Yeah.
So there's no chance to be in a remote place, honestly. But
Okay. So you're down with it too.
Yeah, we're
No, I'm
all
down.
down with watching movies.
All right, so
yeah, I want to make my. Never mind.
Evan, Luke,
Mike.
Steven
and Mike, you fine.
Yeah. So, eventually they fall asleep after they're watching a little TV. And in the middle of the night sometime, Mike wakes up. And when he wakes up, he can't move. All he can do is just look around. And he can kind of see the inside of the tent because the glow of the laptop is still on. So it must have been shortly after he fell asleep. Now, as he's just laying there, he's had sleep paralysis before. So it doesn't really bug him. He figures he'll get out of it here pretty quick. As he's laying there, not able to do anything, not able to make a sound there in their tent, he sees a shadow fall on the tent. And he said it was a big shadow.
Was there moonlight or was a fire going on outside?
I think the fire was still going on outside.
Okay.
So he sees this shadow outside the tent, and then it starts to move around the tent. And he just watches it with his eyes, and he sees something put pressure on the outside of the tent, and then take the pressure off, walk back around, and it's like a stomping sound outside the tent. And then after a few minutes, he snaps out of it. He's able to move. So he sits up and he wakes up his brother. He's like, "Did you hear that? Did you see that?" His brother's like, "No, I didn't hear or see anything." He's like, "Well," and like his first thought is, "Well, I was having sleep paralysis, so maybe it was that phenomena that happens." And because
like
of
seeing something,
the seeing something.
Okay.
Then after thinking this, he kind of lays back down. He's like, "Okay, I can go back to sleep. It was probably nothing serious." They wake up the next morning. They go outside their tent, and it's common in these areas, northwest U.S., especially in Grizzly territory, to hang your food in the branches. They had hung their food on a branch, and it was about probably 9 feet up above the ground. And they get out of their tent the next morning, and they see the bag just trashed, and all the food was just on the ground and had been rummaged through.
had it been eaten?
Oh, yeah, it had been eaten as well. And after looking at this, their friend Evan, he's like, "Oh, it's a good thing that I left the dog in the car because it looks like there was a grizzly that came around." After that, they all survived, went home, lived their lives. But I can not think of anything more terrifying than being out in the woods and then having an episode.
Yeah.
And not being able to do anything.
Yeah, all the episodes I've had is from the comfort of my own home.
Not in the proximity of a grizzly. I wonder, that's weird that it like coincided with seeing the grizzly.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was like any use behind that.
I don't know. That's pretty terrifying though. Like seeing something outside your tent, walking around, even putting pressure on the outside of the tent.
Do you think it would be more scary or less scary if that wasn't a grizzly?
Well, I think that it's kind of relief to know what it was and know that it's gone.
Yeah, because if it wasn't a grizzly, you'd be like, what the hell was that?
It's crazy because you have no security in the woods unless you're guarded, like you have a gun on you or a
True.
knife.
Yeah, but if you're also in the middle of a sleep paralysis, you have nothing.
True.
And then you're in your tent, which is just a piece of cloth held up by sticks.
See-through cloth.
Yeah.
Like,
I hope you got a blanket. You got to get under that shit.
ooh, true. Yeah.
No, as I was reading this submission, I was like, holy shit. Out in the woods, that is like something terrifying all on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Plus sleep paralysis put together.
Plus,
I was like, oh my God, this is nuts.
evolutionary's best result for killing.
Did the person mention anything about him telling his friends?
What do you mean?
Because only he witnessed all of that.
Yeah, he was the only one who witnessed it. He didn't say if he told his brother, except for where he asked if his brother had seen anything that night.
No.
But that was it. I think that it was probably just understood that's what it was when they all woke up and saw their food that was 9 feet in the trees all over the ground.
Bro, I'm probably going to butcher this, but when Kevin was like 14, and Kevin's one of our best friends, he was on episode 5, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I think when he was around 14, he went on a camp out where they were going to sleep under the stars. And he said he was with this kid who was his friend who thought it would be super funny if he put candy wrappers in his pillowcase.
Psycho.
So Kevin went to sleep that night and woke up to something sniffing his head. And he said he opened his eyes and he just saw the huge snout of a black bear. And it was like, and it's like moving his head. and he opened his eyes and he just went, "Oh my gosh." And I think he yelled, and his counselor or like scout guide or whatever was like, "You guys okay?" And they just see a bear get up and run away.
Oh my gosh. Nope.
This close to death. Straight attempted murder, bro.
Friggin' dickhead friend.
Your story reminded me of another story. Do you have another one?
I have one more, but you can go, dude.
Since it kind of relates, can I
Yeah,
tell
let's
it?
go for it.
So this person, I don't know if I didn't ask if they want to be named, so I'm just going to leave their name out. But he and a bunch of other friends, maybe like 6 of them, were planning kind of a camping trip. And, well, it was in a cabin, like up in the mountains that they had to hike to. And he was the only one who couldn't go with them at the start. He couldn't get off of work for that day. So he decided to get off work, start hiking after work. Apparently this trail is kind of dangerous during the day, so he didn't want to do it at night, especially because this was his first time. So he decided he was going to camp by himself overnight, like halfway, before it starts getting really dangerous. Wake up in the morning and then go the rest of the way. Meet them in the morning. They're together for the next couple of days. So he packs everything, work is done, and he starts making his way out. The sun's still up. And right before it starts to get kind of, apparently like a good part of the trail like went on like the ridge line. That's what he didn't want to do. So right before that, he found a clearing that was maybe like 40 feet wide, and he had a one-man tent, and he decided to start settling down. So he sets up his tent. He has some dogs to roast over the fire. And
Hot dogs.
yeah, this isn't the Philippines. This is America. We value those things. Sorry. He's making dinner. He's chilling. The moon's not super bright, but he has the fire going. And he's probably up for about 3 hours after the sun sets. So he's sitting in darkness for about 3 hours. And when it starts getting dark, he can hear things in the woods, just animals, birds chirping,
Critters,
crittering. And slowly, as it starts getting darker, those sounds start to go away. And as the night goes on and he's just chilling, he's reading a book, he's feeding the fire every so often, he hears rustling out in the ridgeline of the clearing. And he doesn't think much of it, but after, I think within the last hour, it starts becoming more consistent. Like he hears it more and more, and subconsciously he's thinking about it because he's reading his book. He's really fixated on that. After a while, he notices that not only is it happening more and more, but it's circling around him. So at that point, he like keeps his book up, but stops reading and starts paying attention to the sound. And sure enough, this thing is slowly, leaves crunching, branches breaking, bushes moving, very faintly and slowly around the perimeter of this clearing. So he grabs his knife that he brought with him, grabs his flashlight, and goes out to the sound.
Okay.
Very confidently, standing his ground. He goes to where he last hears a sound, doesn't see anything, and the sound stops. So he looks around a little bit more, around that perimeter where the trees are, nothing. So he stays up for a little while more, reads a little bit more of his book, and then decides to call it a night. He leaves the fire going, though. He gets into his one-man tent, and he goes to bed. He wakes up in the middle of the night to the crackling of the fire. It's going not as strongly, but it's still going. And he can hear this thing going around the perimeter.
Oh, no.
Again. And it seemed as if as soon as he realized the thing would stop, like the more he would think about it and pay attention to it, the thing would slow down, almost like it knew his thoughts.
Don't like that.
And this happened a couple times. He didn't want to get up and get out. He was really comfortable. He checked earlier. He thought he was good. He was fine. So he decided to stay there until one time he's listening to it. It stops and it doesn't continue going around the perimeter. He can hear it coming towards his tent.
Oh, hell.
And the direction that it's coming from is behind him. So he's laying down on his back and he's looking up at his tent. And this thing or whatever it is walking towards his tent. And he watches. This is one of those A-frame tents. You know, it's just a triangle, a long triangle. I don't know. Yeah, so he's laying down, looking up at the roof of his tent, and he hears this thing coming closer, closer and closer, stepping on the grass. And he hears it stop right by his head. And he watches as a hand presses the top of the tent and pushes down slowly until the tent comes lower and lower right above his face. And he moves super fast as to, well, he's trying to get up and get out. And as he does that, the hand lets go. He can hear the thing hightail it back the other direction.
What do you mean the thing? Is it a human hand?
I think so.
Dude, that's Sasquatch.
Runs off. He gets out of his tent, and by that point, he can hear the thing way down in the woods. And he decides he's not going to chase it.
Smart.
He stays in his tent. He gets back in his tent. He stays there. After he thinks that the thing has gone away, like far enough where he couldn't hear it or see it, gets back into his tent, doesn't sleep, just lays there for the rest of the night. And as soon as first light hits, he gets up, packs up, leaves, meets up with his friends.
Where was he camping? Like, location?
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Was it Utah?
No, it wasn't in Utah.
Oh, okay, good.
You're like, ooh.
Okay, what's the worst case scenario and best case scenario of that situation?
Worst case scenario. Redneck inbreds. Because you know they ain't got no boundaries.
Is that worse than Sasquatch?
I mean, Sasquatch discovery would be amazing. So, like, is that a worst case or a best case?
I guess you're right. Squeal like a pig. I'm gonna make you squeal. Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bad case scenario.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
He didn't say where it was.
Scary, dude.
It's in the States, though.
It's in the
I
States.
can tell you.
Okay. Yeah, there is no good scenario.
See what I was.
The best scenario is that was your friend who had also hiked up early and wanted to play a prank on you.
I guess that's a best
But
case. Yeah.
he comes dangerously close to getting his hand stabbed. Because I would have just F my tent. Bah! Right into the hand.
If I'm thinking about it too, as I'm like listening to this happen, if it was a predator, you probably wouldn't hear it.
That's what I was saying. If it was a mountain lion, you wouldn't have heard it.
You wouldn't know.
If it's a bear, you'd probably
You'd
kind of
probably
hear it.
hear it. Yeah. So it depends. That's why I was wondering, like, the location.
But the hand.
True.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Also, there's a sense of being hunted or being cased. You know, that it walked around for an hour, waited till you fell asleep.
And then just rolled up on you.
Pushing down on that tent.
Yeah, what was the
Hearing
end game?
that thing coming behind you, like above your head.
See,
Ugh.
that's why it's got to be like some inbred redneck dude. Because, like, why would they do that otherwise?
There was no end game.
There was no end game.
Who's out in the mountains doing this? You need to stop.
Stop being creepy.
Yeah. Should we call our listeners critters?
Critters.
Critters. Hey, critters.
We
Hey,
have
critters out there.
first level is critters. Second level is creeples.
Creepers.
Creepers.
Creepy peoples.
And then creepy
Crepple
people.
pupple.
Crepples.
Cripples. Crepples.
Crappy pupples.
Creepy pebbles.
Good zoom
Crapples.
tight.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, that's scary, dude.
It's a fun one. You said you had one more.
I got one more.
Shoot.
So down in Arizona, there is a canyon that's just south of Kingman. Now, Kingman, Arizona is pretty much the desert, like most of Arizona. This canyon just south of Kingman, though, is called Slaughterhouse Canyon. And if you go to this
Arizona's wild with their names, dog. They have
Superstition Mountain.
Slaughterhouse Canyon,
don't give up. But
Murder Your Children Highway.
It's like
the Grand Canyon. What?
Oh.
they just start stealing names from movies. It's like Haunting in Connecticut River. It's like,
So what's up, Arizona? So if you're to go to Slaughterhouse Canyon, the legend is that you will hear the sound of children screaming. Less Native American, more white children.
Yeah.
is that Italian? Yeah. My Totino's pizza rolls.
Charlie. Like that?
Well, kind of, except for they're starving children.
Wait,
So
what?
they probably weren't talking about Totinos.
Starving children?
Starving children.
Well, they probably were talking about Totino's.
They're like, where are my
I freaking don't
Totinos
want a
at?"
tortina. And I am starving.
Where's the bagel bites?
Well, I personally have not heard them ask about bagel bites.
Okay, go back. I go to Slaughterhouse Canyon. What's going to happen?
Kids.
A child screaming. And
So if you go like hiking or walking or driving, like what's the scenario?
anywhere in this canyon, yeah. And actually, I think the legend goes if you stay overnight,
Ugh.
you will hear the screaming of these children.
But daytime, you ate.
You will eat. 1800s, there was a gold rush, and there was a farmer and his family that decided to, for some reason, stay in this canyon in the middle of the desert. They and a lot of the time back then, the guy would go out and he would go hunting. He'd be gone for a few days. He'd go into town, be gone for a few days. He would freaking try and find gold. He'd be gone for a week or two. So that was just the case back then. So one time he ends up going to try and find gold. He's trying to pay for his family. Maybe they were trying to get further west where it wasn't as bleak. But after a few weeks, they receive word that he's missing. Nobody knows where he's at. He probably ended up dying in Superstition Mountain, which is actually hundreds of miles away, so probably not. But after finding out that her husband had gone missing, and in this time, more than likely that means he's dead, she just goes into a fit of depression. And in this depression, the way the legend goes, she puts on her wedding dress.
Oh my gosh.
And goes around finding her children. They're all crying from starving and screaming, and starts killing them to put them out of their misery. And the details are pretty gruesome. They say that she chopped the children up and threw them in the river, and then hung herself by a tree. she couldn't take what they said was the sounds of her children screaming reverberating off of the canyon walls.
Drove her mad.
And even now, you can go to the canyon, and if you stay overnight, can hear those children screaming for yourself.
If you knew that would happen, but you'd come out okay, would you still go?
Wait, if you knew what would happen, like
You
The
go
children?
camping and you hear.
oh yeah, I would do it.
Okay, Sean, go do it.
I've been there before.
Oh my gosh. Sean, go and vlog it.
Would you do it? I think I would if I went with a group of friends.
That's the only way I'm doing this.
No, I wouldn't go by myself.
Hell no.
I mean, it's basically the same.
Oh my gosh. So what kind of drove her mad at the very end?
Was the sound of her children screaming and just crying echoing off of these canyon walls.
I can really relate to that with that alarm clock that went off for years.
Well, you didn't cut anybody up and throw them in the river.
I got close.
That was when we were living at the river house, though. So
That's terrifying.
I
dog.
thought of The Shining when you were talking about the kids or the mom chopping the kids up.
oh,
When Danny's riding his tricycle and he sees the twins.
Come play with us, Danny.
He sees pieces of them all
oh yeah.
laid out on the hallway.
That's terrifying imagery, man.
Yeah.
Wedding dress, murdering your kids. You know what it reminds me of?
Hmm.
One of the most gut wrenching scenes in cinema, in my opinion, is in Shutter Island
Oh yeah.
when Leo comes home to discover what his wife has done.
Heavy.
I'm not going to say any more about it, but it is a powerful scene. And it reminded me of that. Just like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I could definitely see that.
oof.
So, if you're brave enough, go to Slaughterhouse Canyon.
Where in Arizona is this?
So it's in between Vegas and Phoenix. There's like a state highway that goes from Vegas to Phoenix.
You passed by there.
I've taken that
So-
twice.
Yeah, so you'll go from Vegas down to the freeway that just goes right across the middle of Arizona. So you're on this freeway for a little bit, and on that freeway is Kingman. And then you get on another highway that goes to Phoenix, but just south of Kingman is where this canyon is.
Kingman is a town.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you don't hear him in the day.
As far as I know.
So you ite in the light, but not at night.
Accurate.
So the kids are nocturnal. They
Kill their ass too. They're yelling at night.
I said, shut up. We still don't got no food.
I'm going to kill you.
You asked me about pizza rolls one more time.
Totino's is trash. Anyway,
Bro, I still ask with Totino's though.
I still have to hit it too.
Red Baron or get out my face, dog.
Red Baron is the gold standard for frozen pizzas.
I ain't got the luxury of being picky with my pizza, bro.
Yeah, we already know about your history.
I was a latchkey kid, but at least I had like Red Baron. You know what I'm saying? So I was alone in class.
There you go.
I wonder what onion grass pizza would taste like.
But if you just
Probably
sat
not
there
good.
and let your saliva pool in your mouth and then swallowed that, it would taste like that.
Yeah, it was close.
I'm just kidding.
You good?
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm good.
Me neither.
Just need to review it real quick.
Wow. Thanks for your story, Sean. Now, DJ.
You good? You good? I'm good.
We good.
All right, so my story comes from a firefighter,
Ooh.
and he's a first responder. Dispatch calls in over the radio. I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know when this happened. So if it happened differently, maybe it was a different time. Maybe they do things differently in different states or something. I don't know. But this is a story that I have, so you're gonna have to take it. Goes out on the radio, and basically the dispatcher says, we have a 65-year-old woman who's locked out of her house. She needs help getting in. So he decides to take it because as a firefighter, he thinks, worst case scenario, we'll need to force entry. We're equipped and trained for that. Or at least I am, So I'm equipped for that and trained for a forcible entry.
Interesting.
We have a friend who is a firefighter, and they have wild stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just remembering.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to let you get a little further, and then I'm going to interrupt again. Let's just say, so when people are having heart problems, they need to monitor them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they need to put patches all over their chest.
Mm-hmm.
And on the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets a lot of calls with older people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And older women.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So he said he just has to lift their shirt up, use his forearm to pick up their boob, which is down here, and he has to go under the boob and put the patch down. And he said he has to do that every day.
A little uncomfortable, but when you work in
hot,
medical or anything like that, those people are used to wiping butts and
True.
It's their
taking
job.
catheters out.
Yeah. So it's every day, bro.
No. 0 people. Okay. So 65-year-old woman is locked out of their house.
Yeah. He's like, no biggie. But I'm prepared for the worst. So he's going on the way there. He doesn't think he needs anybody to go with him. So he just goes by himself. And he gets there and it's about dusk. And the first thing he notices is all the lights in the house are off except for one on the second floor. The room on the second floor has this little figurine sitting on the window and a candle that's lit. So that's the first thing he notices because everything else in the house is off. So not sure what it is, but that's the first thing he notices. So he's walking up the driveway, sees the old lady. She's at the back of her van and he says, "Good evening, ma'am. I'm here to help you get into your house." He says, "If you what happened?" So she says, "Well, I just got home and I went grocery shopping," and he can see her grocery bags in the trunk of the van.
Mm-hmm.
The hatch door is open, and she says, "I was just taking groceries in and out of the house, or when I came out again to grab another load of bags, I closed the door and it locked. I didn't realize that I locked it at the same time. I can't get back in. And I need to get back in because my mom's in there."
How old is she again?
65.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so this lady's 65, so the man thinks about that real quick. He's like,
Quick
wow.
math.
Yeah, quick maths. This
gotta be
lady
at
is
least
at least
70.
85. Yeah. So he's like, "Oh, that's totally fine. Is your mom not able to open the door for us?" And she says, "Oh, no. My mom passed away 6 years ago.
Okay.
But she's here."
Is her urn able to roll over and unlock the door?
She says she's here with us, and she lets us know. And he's like, "Okay, well, let me look around the house real quick, just to scan the perimeter, make sure, everything's okay." He's giving her the benefit of the doubt and trusting her that, that's what happened. He can see the grocery bags in the car and everything. Checks the doors. It's all locked. He's walking around. He doesn't see anything strange. It's fine. He does find one of the windows that he tries to move up, and it's unlocked. So he moves it up, and before he hops in, he goes back to the front of the house. And he says, "I did find one of the windows. I was able to open it. It was unlocked. Do I have your permission to get into the house and that I can unlock it for you?" And she says, Sure. Go ahead." And he's like, "Okay." So he goes around back. He radios in. He says to his buddy or whatever, says, "Hey, I'm going into this house. I'll let you know if I need anything."
If I don't come back.
But he doesn't see anything inside or outside that's strange or off-putting, so that he doesn't call for backup. He just tells them what's going on, his status. So he hops up, climbs through the window, he jumps inside the house, and as soon as his feet hit the floor, boom, click.
What?
Here's a click, and the lights turn on in the house. And he's weirded out. So he like hurries over to the front door, unlocks it, opens it, walks out to the lady and says, your door's unlocked and your house is open. But when I went inside, the lights turned on. And this woman says, oh yeah, that's just my mother. I told you she's here with us. And she lets us know by little things like that, turning the lights on and off and whatnot. And she's totally like fine with it, you know? And he says, okay. Still giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like, this is your mother, but just for the safety of all of us, I want to look throughout the house first. And before I do that, I want to call one of my friends. So he radios one of his friends. Within minutes,
bro, get your ass down here.
Within minutes, this dude shows up. He explains the situation. They're like, all right, let's go look. So when by this point, him and the old lady are in the house together. And he helps her bring the groceries in, and the friend shows up, walks into the door. And the friend whispers to him, he says, did you notice a candle upstairs? And he says, yeah, that was kind of weird, but I guess we'll see what's up. So friend gets there, and they decide to check the entire house, every room. Bottom floor, fine. They have the upstairs. Mm-hmm. So the main dude of this story starts walking upstairs and doesn't hear anything upstairs. Thinks he's okay, but he's still a little cautious. They're slowly going up. They get to the top of the stairs. Nothing. He goes to the first room, looks through. Everything's normal. He's going through, and he saves the room facing the street with the candle in the window for last. He opens it, and the first thing he notices is that the room is dark and the candle is out. He looks around. There's no vents. The window is closed. And everything seems normal. Like, he doesn't find anything besides the fact that, you know, a light just clicked to turn on and that the candle blew out what seems like by itself. So he and his friend is already caught up on everything that's happened so far. They're pretty creeped out. So they start to exit the room, and as they walk towards the stairs to head downstairs, the door behind them closes. And they hurry downstairs. They look behind, nothing's there. They hurry downstairs. They get to the bottom of the stairs, and the light for the hallway, click, turns off behind them. And the 65-year-old lady is in the living room. She watches them as they come downstairs, and she says, "See, Mom's here." And they're like, "Okay, well, as long as you and Mom are okay, we haven't found anything else like that's actually threatening. If you think like that's your mom, then we'll leave you be." And he says one thing is I would suggest using an electric candle just to avoid,
He's a firefighter.
He's a firefighter. He sees the hazard.
Yeah. I'll check the lint trap behind the dryer.
Yeah. And so I would advise you to use an electric candle or battery powered candle just to avoid any accidents. And we'll be on our way. And they leave. And nothing else happens, but they can't explain the lights turning on and off for them, almost guiding them through the house. Mm-hmm. The door closing behind them. He says once in a while he'll be in that neighborhood and drive past, and he'll see the candle lit in the window.
Oh my gosh.
Nope.
He says, well, she didn't take my advice.
Did you ever see that Disney Channel original? Was it Smart
Yes.
House?
Yes.
Smart House, that Disney Channel original. That's what it could be. Actually, my first thought was those clapper lights when he like lands in the house. I was like, maybe she's got one of them clapper lights, but not the rest of it.
In Smart House, it's his like 14th birthday, and him and his homies plan a choreographed dance for their birthday. And I used to think that was so sick. And my birthday's coming up, boys. So anyway,
Yeah, whatever, dude.
that's wild. As a first responder, I'm sure there's so many times where you get into situations and you're like, oh, please, please get me out of this. I could only imagine.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, big nope.
But when I said he got into the house the first time, jumped through the windows, boom, clicked. What did you think it was? Because I saw you like tense up.
Like a ghost.
Oh, okay.
Like a presence.
At first, the way I described it, I was thinking like somebody with a gun.
I was going to say, or, yeah, someone was in the house and they were like, right when he did it, they were like, oh.
Buckshot.
What's that from?
Dave Chappelle.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's from something else.
Buckshot, birdshot, buckshot.
Oh, I think it's
From
also in Peanut Butter Falcon, too.
Oh, yeah,
This
yeah.
is buckshot.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It's like, I just saw something with that. Anyway, no, that would be terrifying.
I would recommend to that lady to find out if that's really her mom.
She doesn't seem to be afraid. So far, if it's not her mom, the ghost is like chill.
The lady, the most chill person in the whole story was the lady. She was like, I'm telling you, this is just my mom. Like,
Bro, what if
she helps us out, close the door.
ghost?
He's like, and I turned around and there was no 65-year-old lady.
No groceries.
Yeah.
No van.
There was no house.
No house. Yeah. We're in the middle of a cornfield.
He's like, I made this all up. Okay, well. What the hell?
He looks into the bag. He's like, what? Totino's pizza rolls.
It's not even Red Baron.
Oh. No, thank you.
Ah.
I have a...
You-
okay. There you go.
Did you have something related? I have something unrelated.
I was going to say I have a cousin who's a first responder.
Mm.
And he was an EMT, and a lady's having a baby in the ambulance, and it's his turn to ride in the back. His buddy is driving.
Mm-hmm.
So he's back there, and she's full on having this baby. So he's like, all right, let's do this thing. He's excited. This is my first baby.
Pop them out.
Get your legs up, ma'am. We're doing this thing. So he puts on some latex, and he gets ready, and he's like, okay, push. And she's like, ah.
I think I already know.
And he looks down to the baby that just came into his hands, and it is a massive turd.
That's common.
And he was like, ugh. And so he just like takes off his gloves. He like looked at his partner, and his partner's like, just shakes his head, took his gloves out, and got the actual baby. And he's like,
That is common though, right?
yeah, but he's like, the first baby I birthed was a turd. So
That's so funny.
Could be said about most children anyways.
I'm glad I know that's common. I'm so ignorant when it comes to girl stuff, dude. I had no sisters growing up.
It's like, what? How does that work, dude?
I've talked to like 3 girls my entire life.
Yeah.
No.
And weirdly, their anatomy like doesn't come up in just regular conversation.
When a boy and girl like each other. Speaking of bodies, did you know? Oh, man. Okay, there's 2 threads that I was reading on Ask Reddit. And the first question was, what is the one fact you know? What's the one WTF fact you know?
Nice.
You know? And this person named like a specific, like a couple of chemicals that almost everybody has in their household, you know, like cleaning items and whatnot. He's like, if you combine all of them and you have this much amount, a body will take 3 hours to like completely dissolve in that.
Was it like Coke Zero, and Diet Coke?
I can't remember, but yeah, he was
Yeah,
saying.
just curious, what were those things?
No, he was saying the reason he knew that is because he worked in like a butcher shop.
Okay.
So they would cut off all the meat and everything, like all the excess, like the bones and stuff, that they wouldn't sell or use. They would throw it in the acid, and it would dissolve. So.
I have another question.
What's up?
What profession are you the most suspect of?
Ooh.
Like, if there was a lineup of 100 people with different professions, which one would you be like, that mofo's the killer? I have mine.
President of the United States. Getting political. Dude, all these people get away with so many things.
I mean, like, sociopathic murder, not like, for the greater good.
I don't know. That's a good. What do you have something in mind?
I do.
You don't have a question. You have an answer, dog.
Let's hear the answer.
I asked my question to hear me speak. Taxidermist.
Oh.
I'm the most suspect of like taxidermists.
Really?
Especially bad
Dude, just think about
taxidermy.
that. Like, who gets into taxidermy? And if you're a taxidermist, my bad.
My girlfriend's stepfather. He's a hunter.
Suspect.
You go upstairs. When I first went to their house for the first time, I go upstairs and like I start seeing things, you know, on the second floor, and slowly I start seeing like a bear at eye level with me. What the
Bro, at any point, like
you got a
visiting
bear
them,
in your house?
At any point, you visiting them the first time, did it feel like Get Out?
Bro, I've felt like Get Out for the past 7 years. Okay, no, actually, no lie. A few months ago, when summer was ending, my girlfriend's family, they have a cabin in Idaho.
Uh-huh.
And by this point, we were dating for a couple weeks, not even a month. But she invited me out to, you know, the cabin. And none of the family went and did their own thing. So it was mostly like just all of like our friends who were there. So I was a lot more comfortable because I knew all the people who were going to be there, at least our friend group. But I had to go a day late because I had a wedding in Boise. And this cabin was on the opposite side of the state. So I went to the wedding that night, slept over my aunt and uncle's house in Boise. In the morning, I drove across the state to meet up with them. And this place was in the country. It was in the country. And I was like, I could scream and nobody would hear me or care. But driving to the house, I just thought of Get Out. I was like, man, these white people finna murder me right now.
DJ walks in and her mom's like,
with the tea.
yeah.
You're like, what are you doing?
Is that when you first suspected?
That's when I first suspected, and I was wrong. Up until this point, I've been wrong.
Well, we'll see. But does your girlfriend's stepdad, is he the one who actually sits there and cuts the animals open, or does he send it away to get done?
Oh, good question. I don't know. I don't know if they send it to a butcher, or if he does it, or if he knows how. And
A lot of people just send it to some taxidermist. I'm not saying that he does, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
but he's into the end product.
That's fine. Like, I can appreciate that.
Okay.
But
The actual
person
person
who like is driven to do that. If it's a family profession, I get that. But if I meet someone and they're an accountant and they just say they have an urge to stuff animals and pose them, I'd be a little suspicious. Not super.
I'm suspicious of sales people. That's who I'd be like, that's the serial killer for sure.
Butchers is kind of terrifying. I do know, kind of going with that, I was listening to, it was either My Favorite Murder or Crime Junkie, but this farmer, he was like, his kill count was super high, And what he would do is he'd take them in the butcher. He had like a slaughterhouse on his property, and then he would kill them there and then drive them to this like meat plant and chuck them in this grinder.
What the fuck?
But it's just like, yeah, if you're in that line, you know how to like get rid of bodies.
What's it called? The people who prepare the dead bodies? Coroner?
Yeah.
Is it a coroner or
embalmer?
But Sean and I recently watched a movie a couple months ago.
Yeah, mortician. Is that what
Mortician.
it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, the body that they were
Oh yeah, dude, that was nuts.
was a victim of like a possession.
She was like a witch or something.
Wait, is this
originally.
real?
It was actually
yeah.
a documentary.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy.
You dickhead.
It's called The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Actually, yeah, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. No, honestly, that's what it was.
I don't know
It's
what's
a movie.
happening.
It's not a documentary, I promise.
Okay.
It was a movie called The Autopsy of Jane Doe. She was a witch, came in, and then they like start like chopping her up, and all of a sudden find out that like her normal skin is actually covering like tattooed another skin that's below it. It's like
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Sicky.
Fiction.
Hopefully.
Yeah. The other Reddit thread that I was reading was first responders of Reddit. What's the most terrifying thing that you've seen on your job? Very NSFL thread.
Oh, gosh.
And this is very graphic, but the one that hit me the most.
So fast forward if you were queasy or driving.
But it was an EMT. They were told it was a car crash.
Oh.
With several people in the car, and they get there and the car is flipped upside down, and they notice that it was a convertible, and the car dragged on the ground for 20-30 yards before coming to a stop.
Well, damn. Oh, gosh.
Thank you for listening.
So you have any stories, Charles?
No, I'm good, Doc. All right. I do.
Nice.
First one I'm going to tell, just because it's kind of on theme, is from our friend Kevin. So this happened to Kevin when he was growing up. A friend of his invited him to come sleep over at his house. And his friend's dad was an architect and had built their house out in New Mexico away from everything. So it's out in the desert, and the nearest house is several acres away. And they decided to sleep out on the trampoline. Did you guys ever do that growing up?
We never
Always
had
seems-
a trampoline.
That's sensitive, Charles. Trampoline's not in Sean's vocabulary. Yeah, a couple times, and it always seemed like the best idea, and then you wake up, though it's the worst idea. And in Hawaii, it's humid there.
Twice
So
the worst idea.
So
So
just
everyone's
sharing
sweating.
each other's sweat.
And mosquitoes.
Oh my gosh.
So
That sucks. Yeah,
it
we,
is.
we used to do it all the time, and you're like so stoked, and then
yep.
like an hour later, you're all in the middle in this crevasse,
Yeah. Just spooning each other.
like 2 inches from the ground.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they decided to sleep out on the trampoline. It's out in the desert. So picture just a house and then desert for as far as you can see. And they're laying there and they're talking and laughing. And I'm sure Kevin's just being so quiet. And, they're kind of nodding off. And Kevin rolls over and he's looking, and it's not a full moon, so it's really dark. But he can see the outline of the house. And as he's looking at the house, he realizes that there is a silhouette of a man crouching on the roof. So quickly, Kevin goes, "Hey, do you see that?" His friend looks at it and goes, "I think that's just the air conditioning." Kevin looks at it and he counts, and there's 2 boxes and one shape that looks like a man crouching. And Kevin goes, how many air conditionings do you have? Do you have 3? And his friend goes, oh, I don't think so. And so they both get terrified. And they're like, I think someone's watching us. And they stay there for like an hour staring at this shape. And when Kevin was describing it, he crouched down on the ground, like in a leering position, and said, this is exactly what it looked like. And they stare at it. They're petrified. They don't want to move. And they stare at it as long as they can until they fall asleep. And in the morning, Kevin wakes up, and the first thing he does is look at the house. And this time he can only count 2 shapes on the house.
Oh, shit. That's so freaking stupid.
And he said, like, he has no idea what it was. What he legit thinks it was is someone was on the roof watching them sleep.
That's creepy.
It reminds me of Signs.
It reminded me of It Follows.
Oh,
It's probably Engine Joe
oh gosh, you're not allowed to say that. Bro, dog.
from Tom and Huck.
It's probably Indigenous American Joe. First Nation
okay.
Joe.
I thought they were saying Engine Joe when I was a kid.
That's what I always thought too, actually.
It's not is it engine?
I think it's spelled like INJUN as in like Indian.
Yeah.
Engine.
Where does that derive from? And that's a derogatory term.
I mean, it can be. I guess it's used. Yes. I tried to justify it. Yeah. Was it Columbus? Well, they were trying to find India. They got here. They thought it was India, so they saw the natives and they called them Indians.
Bro,
Is that right? I think I'm right.
Yeah. They were trying to find a quicker way to India for the spice trade.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's accurate.
So where did engine come from?
I think it's
Sorry
just,
for saying that.
it's almost like a Creole.
Um,
It's like just a southern accent saying instead of Indian,
Yeah, it
engine.
it just kind of says it's another like term for Indian. 1700s, so engine was like a really early term for it.
Crazy. Anyway. Okay, next story.
It's a good one. I love that.
Okay, so this next story comes to us out of rural
Compton.
Straight out of Compton.
Close. Rural Georgia.
Ooh, that's close.
So this kid also young. This kid is also young, and he's said he got to do. It was super exciting for him. His parents would let him sleep in the living room on the weekends.
Ooh, what a treat.
And actually, like, I used to do that, and it was so fun. I didn't have a TV in my room growing up, so being able to sleep on the weekends was like, or in the living room on the weekend was like,
I
sick.
always prefer sleeping in my bed.
Oh, true.
On the couch, building a fort.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, but I always slept on the long couch, and my little sister slept on the short couch. And our little brother, since I had the long couch, would sleep on the long couch with me. The long couch. And every freaking time I'd be asleep and I'd wake up, and he'd just be breathing in my mouth. And I'd be like, push him and turn around. I'd be pissed. Anyway. So this kid gets to sleep in the living room, and he goes out there. He's watching TV with aspirations of staying up all night, but he quickly falls asleep. And in the middle of a deep sleep, for a reason he can't explain, he sits bolt upright on the couch. And he said it's to a tingling feeling, and fear is through him, like his hair standing on end. And he sits straight up and he looks out the living room window. And this is rural Georgia with big trees all around his home. And by the light of the moon, he can see right outside his house a man sitting in the tree. And he's staring in at him. Instantly jumps up, runs to his dad's room, tells him everything that's happening. His dad jumps up and grabs something, The dog by this time is like snarling at the window, grabs the dog, opens the door, and they go outside. So he's like freaking out, crying, telling his mom what's happening. His dad comes back in, says he couldn't find anything. And so he decides, you know what, I'm just going to go to my room and sleep in my room. F this. So he goes to his room. His dad is like pacing the house, just watching, making sure nothing else is happening. And he's able to finally fall asleep. But right before he falls asleep, he gets a feeling and he opens his eyes.
Shit.
And he sees his window. And right in the middle of the window is the face of a man. And by the moonlight again, the man's staring at him and he's staring right back. The man just puts a finger to his mouth and says, "Shh." And then turns and runs straight away from the window.
Oh my gosh.
So he can see the man just running. And he screamed and couldn't sleep for that whole night.
That actually reminded me. So when I was living down in Kentucky, they have these weeping willow trees. And I don't know if that's the kind of tree that was outside their house, but weeping willow trees also have like kind of mystery around them just because they're so creepy looking and huge. They just cover a huge area. And we had one right outside our Civil War house. And it's just super creepy at night, especially. So I don't know if that's the kind of tree that whatever this dude was chilling in, but that would be terrifying because you kind of can't see it until you really focus.
Dude, that's like, I've said it before, but my least favorite story, or the one I want to be in the least, is like things messing with me while I'm sleeping or about to sleep, because you're so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Should I hit one more, or should we wrap this up?
What's it about?
Sleeping.
Let's go.
Save it.
F it, I'm telling it.
Okay.
So this kid is sitting in his room super late at night, and he's playing video games. And I swear, I'm not making this up. He says it's around 3 a.m. And as he's playing video games, his phone, he looks down.
That was accurate.
Dude, I thought my phone was ringing.
Yeah.
That was my mouth, y'all. Anyway, phone starts to ring, and he looks down, and it's his sister. And he thinks to himself, that's weird, because she's just down the hall. Like if she wanted to talk, she could walk to my door.
I'd call.
So he grabs the phone, and as he picks it up, call ends. So I think that's kind of weird. And he's like, I'm going to go see what's up. So he gets up, opens his door, walks down the hall, and as he puts his hand on the doorknob, his sister begins to scream bloody murder. So he grabs the door, twists it, throws it open, and his sister's just thrashing in her bed, like freaking out. And he's like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And it takes a while to calm her down. She's freaking out.
Hysterical.
So when she's calmed down enough to talk, his parents are there and stuff like that. She says, I woke up and 2 inches from my face was a shadow leaning over me. And then you came in. And he goes, well, when did you call me? She's like, I didn't call you. And he goes, yeah, you did. Swipes up on his phone and shows her, you called me. And she goes, I don't even have my phone. And turns out her phone was downstairs in her purse.
What?
On the counter in the kitchen.
Oh, freak, dude.
And he was in the living room?
No, he was in his room playing video games.
Oh, okay. I thought he was playing video games in the living room.
No, my bad.
No, you're good.
But yeah. But that's like the first sleep paralysis story I've heard with like some sort of warning or cry for help, signaling to the brother or something. I don't know.
That's crazy.
So it's almost, this person was like, I'm going to break into their house and steal their phone, but I'm going to be helpful to you.
Or maybe it was like the sisters Shine calling for help.
Ooh.
Maybe.
The Shine.
Do you guys believe in anything like the Shine? Or telepathic or telepathy? Being able to reach out?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I
Nice.
do.
It's like you can sense when someone's looking at you.
They did a study with that,
Yeah.
and apparently, this is just what I've heard. Maybe we could look it up, but scientifically proven, more often than not, you can tell if someone's like staring at the back of your head.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Ooh. Ooh. That just sent chills down my spine. Because everybody's felt that.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's felt that.
Well, the kid in the Georgia story sat straight up because he knew someone was watching him.
Yep.
And then again in his room, he opened his eyes because he felt it.
My cousin,
It's his
Kamalu.
third sense.
DJ's his pasta. Inside story, sorry.
my cousin Kamalu, I would sleep over his house all the time. And he had 3 brothers. So the 5 of us would just play video games all night.
Yeah, boy.
And since it's on console, one person had to sit out. But we trade off, like every round.
Loser gives up the controller.
Yeah. And yeah, every time we'd sleep over, I just remembered something. Okay, 2 things. Continuing with this first one. They had a living room with a really high ceiling. And they had a fireplace. And if you look to the top of the fireplace and over a little to the left, there's a window. And it was like, not on the roof, but like at the top of like the wall, pretty much. So almost like a skylight, but not on the roof.
So no one's standing outside of it looking in.
No, it's way too high. Yeah. But he would always have dreams. Whenever I slept over, everybody slept in the living room. The TV was in the living room. We'd all play there and crash there as well on the couches and on the floor. And he would always have a dream when he was just sleeping downstairs of what he would describe is a banshee just floating outside the window, like staring at him. And in his dream, he's just paralyzed with fear until he blacks out. And he's sleeping again. And he would wake up in the middle of the night and he wouldn't see anything there, but it would terrify him when he was up. And he's just like, I just want to be asleep. And when I'm asleep, not have that dream. Every time I slept over their house, this is the second story. I've never had this anywhere except for when I sleep at their house. And this was like this family was really close with my family. They're my cousins. And Kamalu was my best friend. We did everything together since we were 4 years old. And they lived down the street from us. So we saw them all the time. But every time I slept over their house, in the middle of the night, I'd get the worst cramp, like in my hamstring. And I'd shoot up in the middle of the night and I'd have to stand up and like stretch it out. And it would be so sore because Kamalu can attest to this, and so can his brothers, because they would hear me and I'd just be like, and I'd like stand up in the middle of the night, so tired, but just a sharp pain in the back of my leg, and I have to stretch it out. And then the pain would go away, and then I would crash on the bed and go right back to sleep on the couch. It's so weird, but I totally forgot about that. But it never happened anywhere else. If I slept in their room, it wouldn't happen. In the living room, it would happen. At home, I've never had it anywhere else.
See, one of the brothers just kicking you right now.
But it was the craziest cramp, just like pinching my hamstring, almost like the nerve. Just like so sore.
Dude, that happened to me when I was on the Spartan race, bro.
Really?
At the very end, my last second to last obstacle, I have to jump to it. This is after running 13 miles. I jump, grab onto it with my arms, and both of my calves just seize up. And they were just stuck straight out like my foot after the jump. So I pull myself up without using my legs and just lay on the platform for like a good 30 seconds watching people go by me. And then I kind of sit back up and like reach to my feet and finally pull my feet back so they uncramp.
Cramps are the worst.
That's funny. But that makes sense to me because you're pushing your body, to its limit in a Spartan race. So it makes sense that after a while, your body would start failing you.
Yeah.
For me, I was just sleeping.
There was only a banshee outside.
I just ate snacks and played video games.
Dude, those video games must have been intense, bro.
So, if you're listening to this and you're trying to fall asleep and you feel like someone's watching you, chances are
They are.
they probably are.
And with that said, trust your gut, watch your back.
Bye, love you, be safe.
I've been thinking how to end this for a while now. And something that I actually do say, and I'm just going to start saying, is if you're under the blankets, it can't get you.
Ooh, I kind of like that, dog.
It's true. It's like the first defense. They see you put that blanket over you, and they're like, damn,
You good.
Thwarted.
tomorrow. I'll be back. Yeah. Thwarted. It's a good word. $10 word. Yeah.
Yay.
But we'll see you next time, folks.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Okay, pause.
I hate this podcast.
And let's